Welcome to Meet the Voter, Episode 7, Sunday, December 29th, 2015. And remember, every Sunday at 9:30, we start coming up and then we record for iTunes, at least 30 minutes worth. The day has been exciting, confusing, and after Thanksgiving, I think we're all full of turkey, some of us at least. And we have our guest, our panelist today. Jonathan Denwood is going to lead off after I introduce everybody. He's doing a great job on the workup part of the show. Jonathan Denwood, our socialist, Christian Democrat.
Socialist.
He's a relatively new U.S. citizen, but he goes back and forth from England. I was surprised to hear that. We work together in WP Tonic. WP-Tonic is his main program. It's not program, but his company. And he also has another, especially SaaS software as a service company, which is mailright.com. Today we have Chuck Bartoth, a new host on the show. He's qualified. He's got the right equipment. He's working. He's come on. We're going to have him as one of our 6 or 7 permanent panelists. Chuck, you've done a great job at the first part. Chuck, I tell a little bit about yourself, if you could.
Well, I'm enjoying my 7th decade here in Northern California, originally from Chicago, then moved to Southern California. And about 40 years ago, I kind of didn't like the way Orange County was going. We grew it out. And when I was involved in city, the last planning commission decision said, I've got to get back to farming again. So I came up to Northern California, have enjoyed a very peaceful life. And I got married, had children. Now we have great-grandchildren, and things are moving along pretty well. Politically, I guess I'm a conservative, socialist, Democrat, just about every word you want to put on it. I mean, it just goes on and on.
Work on your bio. Next week, we're going to have bios up on the panelists, but
no,
I'm too confused right now.
To see that. Okay,
Dr. Nick Hernandez from Orange County. He's got a socialist computer, and he's got socialist systems working for him just fine for socialism. But he's our Bernie Sanders supporter, and he's solid, and we appreciate him having the show. But Jonathan's going to be his trainer to get him up, and we are working on systems. Remember, Netcasting 101 is supposed to be about training people, so we've got to lead by example, and we'll get him trained up with his systems. He's actually had some hardware systems on the systems, but he'll get it. Chuck, congratulations at 70 years old, adapting to the technology and talking about Twitter and all those things. Jonathan, go ahead and lead out on the next 7 to 8 minutes on the show. Then we'll take a break. I'd like to come back with forecasts from everyone after the break, and then we'll go on to get some other folks up. Hopefully get some overseas folks coming up for the last part, some guests on the show.
That'd be great. All right, so I think we previously discussed it, but let's just quickly cover it. So we had Meet the Press, and we had Trump on, and it was a really interesting interview, and in some ways slightly bizarre. I'll start off with Nick. What was your response to the interview with Mr. Trump?
Well, you know, the first and most contentious part of it was his claim that he saw Muslims dancing in the streets during 9/11, and there's no proof. It's been actually refuted by many reporters and a lot of people, even though Trump says that hundreds of people have been calling in and they saw it. You would have thought that if something like that had happened, it would have been national news. You'd have thought that it would have been reported by, the conservative media. Fox News would have jumped all over it, but they don't have any record of it. Okay, so it was BS. Let's face it. And
well, it was also his response to the questioning that I found fascinating. Did you find that interesting? How he was responding during the interview? Was that of interest to you as well, Nick?
Yeah, the way he was trying to bully. The commentator, play cool. This, he came up with these phrases. Excuse me. He does these kind of things to bully the conversation, and he's pretty good at it because people let him get away with it.
What was your? Yeah, that's great, Nick. So what was your response to you didn't actually see it live, did you, Chuck? But
but from what I'm hearing from you, it was a typical Trump session.
It was.
Yes.
Number one, I'll take the stand. I believe that there were people around the country, including in New York, who might have been pleased to see what happened on September 11th, okay? And they might have, in local bars, not bars, but in local neighborhoods, they might have expressed their feelings. I believe that's possible. Why wasn't it reported by the news? Because it wouldn't have been as big a news as what was going on anyway. But from what I'm assuming, from what I hear, Trump was Trump. And, I don't think anybody's going to change it because he doesn't give a squat. Why should he care what a bunch of undereducated people sitting around the table on Meet the Press perceive as to what he says? Nor does he care about what people who don't believe in him anyway are going to think, because they're never going to vote for him anyway.
That's true.
So why not? Why doesn't every politician, as Bernie Sanders does, speak their mind, be who they are, and let it go at that? I didn't see Meet the Press because I started and then I was called away on a family.
That's great. Thanks, Chuck. So, Bill, what was your response to the interview with Mr. Trump?
Trump, I think he's hit some really hot points with America, but as a veteran for the military and a West Point grad, I don't think he's got what it takes to lead the armed forces and secure our country. So that's my framework. So I would say I'm not endorsing him, and I'll talk about my long-term forecast. But that said, I think some of the issues that he's touched on are really important, like securing our borders, something that we haven't done.
But did you actually see the interview?
I watched the whole thing.
All right. So what was your response by his reaction when he was asked numerous times about, did the incident really happen? What, was it based on factual information? What was your response to that?
It's really interesting. I was the vice president of the BIA of Central California, Building Industrial Association, a small builder myself, and I've been around a lot of big builders. And most of these guys are great. They're honest and they're straightforward. But some of the developers have those Trump tendencies to friggin' say whatever they want to say. And then they believe it.
Especially at city council meetings.
And they're very wealthy. They're extremely wealthy. They bully people around. And Trump is an example of a high-end developer that I've had to work with. I can name about 3 people with similar personalities, not exactly. That said, it sounded today, I was concerned today, it sounded like they asked him that question about the Republican Party, and that if he doesn't win the nomination, he's going to probably run a third. That's going to be maybe one of my long-term forecasts, is that he may run a third-party run for office. I'll talk about my forecast later.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Bill. So we move on. So the next thing.
Wait, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure, Nick.
Okay, there was one more lie that Trump also said, and it concerned Bernie. And he said his numbers are going down. Another completely fabricated. His numbers are on the rise. He's drawing more people than anybody, than any of the candidates at his rallies. And he doesn't buy any of the crowds. He doesn't hire people to come to his crowds. Bill has experienced it up in Reno. There was a town hall meeting in, I think it was Vermont, or not Vermont, New Hampshire, one of those states. Anyway, Hillary brought 500 people, and 9 days later, Bernie brought 3,000. And that's happening everywhere all the time. So Trump again says, Bernie's numbers are going down. He just throws in this statement, and nobody contested it but me now, because I know it was a lie. And again, Bernie was marginalized.
Yeah, he does seem to have learned the script from Mr. Goebbels. You tell a lie enough times, it becomes the truth. It does really.
That's a political mantra. I mean, it's been going on for more than just a couple of days.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Trump's a great fan of the Nazis.
John, you shouldn't say that. That's so nasty.
I'm sure he's really, really into it, because there's space.
I was tough on him, but that's nasty.
So we move on. What's happening in Syria? Funny enough, a few weeks ago, I did ask Bill what would happen if a Russian fighter was shot down by the Americans, and Bill said that would never happen. That's just not going to happen. And it wasn't the Americans. It was the Turkish Air Force that decided to shoot down one of Mr. Putin's planes. Basically, What do you think, Nick? First of all, what do you think is happening in Syria, and how do you think this is going to play out?
Well, there's a huge quagmire. There's so many forces supposedly fighting each other and aligning with each other, and it's real hard to keep track. Right now, I'm in the middle of a book that I recommend highly, and it's called Understanding ISIS and the New Global War on Terror by Phyllis Bennis. It's like tennis, but with a B, Bennis, Phyllis Bennis. And she has come up with the first, what seems to me, logical alternative to confronting ISIS militarily and trying to go in and just, bomb the crap out of them, as Trump says. Okay. And what she says in there is that what we need to do is squeeze them militarily and economically. And the way to do that is to put pressure on all the neighbors, Lebanon, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, put pressure on them to stop doing business with them, Iran, and buying all their oil. And also, if there were any military, in my opinion and hers, they should go ahead and bomb the infrastructure of the oil, where they're making their money, so that they can't do it. Now, everybody's hesitant to do that because then they'd have to come back and rebuild it. But if
why would they have to come back and rebuild it?
Oil.
And
if we don't...
Yeah, thanks, Nick. So I'm just going to say, Chuck, what's your feelings about what happened with the downing of the Russian plane and what basically is going on in Syria?
Well, the shooting down of the Russian plane is not a major concern of mine in any fashion, as far as being a major international event. Russia's perfectly capable of taking care of their own situation. We have no business.
Chuck, they are, but also Turkey's a member of NATO.
Well, fine.
And if Russia decides to, handle things,
did they call for Section 5 or whatever it's called?
Article 5.
Article 5. Again, it's my perception, based on a few years' experience hanging out, not being very visible, is that a lot of what we read and hear is totally bogus and made up. And it's good press, and people like it because it has emotional ties, okay? As far the one thing, Nick said something, and I think Bill understands because of his background. If you want to stop, in World War II, we stopped supply lines. We bombed the hell out of supply lines. And that helps stop a forward movement. So I'm not saying we should go bomb. Maybe somebody else should go bomb the supply lines, the financial basis of this group called ISIS. But again, I didn't get all concerned reading about the fact that a Russian airplane was shot down by a missile that supposedly came from Turkey.
Well, not supposedly. They've already, the Turkish Air Force have said that their plane went into Turkish airspace and they acted and they took it down.
And then there's people who say that it didn't.
Hey, Bill,
I think that's been confirmed. The Turkish Air Force have confirmed that it was one of
the Turkish Air Force has confirmed it. Yes.
Right, Bill. I have a question.
Can I move on, Nick? So, Bill, what was your response to the downing of the Russian plane, and how do you see things panning out in Syria?
Yeah, I thought the Russians would immediately react and have an attack on the Turks and just hit them. Basically, 2 F-16s, American-made, launched and shot the Russian aircraft down. They came up behind them and shot them down with a rocket. And that's the first time a Soviet aircraft, a fighter bomber, very high, very savvy aircraft, very good aircraft, was shot down by American aircraft. So I thought they would fight back. That's all. The other thing too is the Turks say that they flew over one little section, and the Russians said they didn't. Unless we have, U.S. probably has, I'm guessing, some kind of a surveillance radar system that they could prove what really happened if they came forward.
And they do, Bill.
That level, they know. I don't know anymore. I don't have access to that information, huh?
Can I ask a quick, because of your military background, Bill, why do you think the Turkish Air Force decided to act in the way they did? Because it was a very high risk, and the incursion, in what I've read about the incursion into Turkish airspace, was about 20 seconds before they decided to respond. Was you very surprised that they would choose? Obviously, they were given the command right to make that decision by their political leadership. Was you surprised that they decided to go down that path?
Well, let me tell you something that happened in the invasion of Iraq. I was a command post officer overseeing. We were stuck in northern in Turkey and could not go over the border. I was running command post operations, overseeing aircraft. I can't go into a lot of detail, but we had the Turks almost shot down 3 of our helicopters. I mean, came very close. There were Marine Corps helicopters, and any incursion back and forth across that border, they'll pull the trigger. So there's just different culture, different command and control section. They're also they're our allies, but they're also very tough on us. They're part of NATO, and who knows what's going to happen. I mean, that's a hot spot of the world. I'll tell you what, I think the Russians did a great job of not retaliating in any aspect and pounding the crap out of them between you and me.
So
the other thing too is it looks, this is just perception, but it looks like the Turks are supporting the fighters which are down the ground on the other side of the border.
No. So what about the medium term situation in Syria? How do you see that planning out?
You know what? Let me think about that. It's really a mess. The whole region's a mess. I'm a little older now, but it's a mess. And the other thing I disagree with a lot of people saying the only way to really clean out ISIS is you've got to put boots on the ground. This is a lot worse threat, I think, than we ever had in Afghanistan or in Iraq.
All right. Thanks, Bill. I'd just like to put my little bit in. I think America's intervention in the Middle East directly in Iraq, and which I feel is a very strong contribution to the creation of ISIS, has been pretty much a disaster, not only for America, but also for Iraq and for the region. I was surprised that the Russians didn't respond much more strongly. They still might. I don't believe that they're just going to take the downing of one of their planes and just sit and take it. I think they will respond in some shape or form. I think Turkey's position is difficult. Basically, states.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
In northern Iraq, and also eventually moving into the parts of Kurdistan, Turkey. They are adamant that will not happen. There was major riots in Turkey, Kurdistan. A leading lawyer was assassinated yesterday. The situation's pretty ugly in Turkey. And
the Kurd state. I understand totally what you're saying. It was all about Kurds on those helicopters getting shot down, by the way.
Yeah, they're just not, and it's placed America in a difficult, because fundamentally there is this idea that there's a kind of independent fighting force that can fight the Syrian army that isn't ISIS, is a lie and a fantasy. The only independent force apart from ISIS is the Kurdistan army. I think it's the KP something.
Hey, Jonathan, we're running long on the episode. Why don't you come up with about a 1 minute conclusion and let you do the conclusion on this since you're running it? Yeah. We'll go to a break, and then I'd like to talk about everybody's predictions.
Yeah, sure.
I'll set up here so I can actually type in predictions ahead of time, because they need to be short and concise and accurate. Sure. And I'm going to record them on the screen, Chuck. So they're recording on Meet the Voter, and that'll grow. I'm pretty sure this show is going to do really, really well if we stick with it.
Right. I mean, my predictions.
Wait a second. You ready to record?
Oh, you want me to go?
You want to record? So you're going to come back on, and I shot you at a nice time and said, let me come to some conclusions as we finish up. And you're going to talk about the Kurds in Turkey, and I think that was a pretty good conclusion. Yeah. We ready?
Yeah.
And if the Kurds have their own country, I saw somebody said if the Kurds have their own country, it sort of goes back to Marshall. Marshall didn't want Israel to exist, and he resigned as being a Secretary of State, or was fired by Truman. it's sort of that similar situation. It's really touchy up there between the Kurds and the Turks. The Turks, the Turks killed 110,000 people in 1910. Armenians, they slaughtered them. That's a different kind of culture too.
Yep.
Ready to go? Here you go, Jonathan. You're going to finish it up. Ready?
Yep. All right. Is it recording? All right then.
Go ahead. I'll edit it.
All right then. We've been talking about the situation in Syria and the downing of the Russian plane. One area which I think a lot of Americans are not aware of is that Turkey, one of America's main allies and a member of NATO, its main national concern is not the defeat of ISIS, but the containment of any chance of a independent Kurdish state in areas that are controlled by Turkey at the present moment. It's always been of the top national concern when it came to Turkey. They've seen a quasi-Kurdish state being established in Iraq. That's fundamentally an independent state, even though it said it's still part of Iraq. It's seen that being established in Syria, and it really is not prepared to see that continue into Kurdish areas which it directly controls. So that's its main national concern, which is really opposite to what America's concern is. The idea that there's some non-ISIS force that can effectively fight the Syrian army and who is a lie. The only independent force is the Kurdish forces. But that puts America directly against one of its leading allies. I think fundamentally what America's got to make is it's got to accept that its policy in Syria have failed. And unfortunately, it's got to accept something that's quite unpalatable. If it really wants to defeat ISIS on the battlefield, it's got to support the Syrian army. It's got to support the Iranians and the Russian position. The idea that it can defeat ISIS without the Syrian and the...
I'm going to edit this for iTunes, so when it sounds like that, it sounds goofy, but it comes out nice on iTunes. Yeah.
Bill, and everybody, I have a question for you guys about the downing of the plane, because there have been a lot of people intimating that the U.S. had something to do with that decision. What do you think about that?
The U.S. has been quiet. I haven't paid attention. If I was where I used to be, I would have seen I was seeing what's the stuff going across. This is years ago. This is like 5-7 years ago. I would have seen the levels I was at. We could see intelligence coming from everywhere, and because we analyzed it. Because intelligence affects one region to another region. Even though I was mostly in Afghanistan, we could see everything. And I was another place where I could see everything early on in the war. But I tell you what, Russia did really well not really pound the crap out of them coming back. I guarantee you Putin right now is just extremely upset. I mean, he lost. They not only, here's what they did. They shot a friggin' pilot down while he's coming down a parachute. That's a crime. I don't care what military, what branch you are. That's just like knock somebody's head off. That's a crime. The other thing they did too, the rescue pilot, I flew rescue for a while, and they shot a Marine friggin' rescue helicopter. I don't care if it's Russian or anybody. They hit him on the ground. What I have to think that Turkey is supporting the northern rebels, whoever those were up there. The other thing too is there's thought that these rebels are the ones that the U.S. was sort of supporting, but were against the Syrian government. So there's a lot of stuff. I'm not up in that area. That's not my area of expertise. My only area of expertise is Afghanistan along 4 provincial border areas.
Yes, it seemed to me,
scary.
It seemed that the decision of the United States was sort of spanking Russia for bombing the rebels, the anti-Assad rebels. I think that's what it seemed like to me. Now, I'm not an expert on this.
What's scary is there's probably Americans in those command posts with the friggin' Turks right next to them.
That's what it seems like.
But I'm just saying, they're watching. They don't make a decision. They have no command authority, and we give them the stuff. All we can do is cut off the aid. Here's another thing: is Turkey's part of NATO, guys. NATO. If Turkey went to war with Russia, technically by treaty, NATO would have to join in to support Turkey. That's
which
scary.
is why I think Russia didn't retaliate. That's what I think.
That is. I mean, they're a new member of NATO, and another country that they tried to get into NATO was not Georgia, but Ukraine. They're playing games there. This is. We know that I don't think the Russians are our enemy. In fact, we've done a lot of training and work with them. Jonathan, I didn't agree with what you said on part of what you just said at the end. I agree with the first part. The Kurds, the Turks do not want Kurds to be a nation right now. If the Turks weren't so adamant about them not being a nation,
yeah.
Because what problem is there's a lot of Kurds inside Turkey, and they think they would revolt and build power and get invaded. Turks are.
An interesting observation.
It'd be like a border area of America. On the border of Mexico, wanting a seed from America. How popular do you think that would be? I'm not saying supporting Assad and the Syrian armed forces is a great choice. He's a murderer, a butcher. Yeah. But
he's like Saddam Hussein, but not quite. He's sort of like not quite as bad as him.
Actually, you're wrong, Bill. Actually, if you, I'll tell you a little story.
You don't think he's similar to him in a little ways?
I'll tell you a little story. I knew a friend that worked for a certain British government.
You might find.
And he looked like he was going to be sent to Damascus for a period of time. He literally did anything he could to get out of it, because that was the worst assignment that you could have to go to, because the Syrian Secret Service to say they had a reputation would be an understatement. Basically, but we've got to be real here. The only force that can really remove ISIS from northern Syria is the Syrian army. It's really that simple. So you've got to make your choice. Either you, and I think the American people have been fed a heap of crap. Basically, you've got to make a choice of a bad situation. Either you're going to allow ISIS to increase, and let's be frank about it. This idea that they're getting their money from oil or from taxation, that's a heap of garbage.
ISIS? The Taliban used to tax the crap out of people in Afghanistan.
Yeah. But
I was in the middle of that. Yeah, I know exactly. What they do, so you know how they run these, even in areas that they don't have under military control, they put shadow governments in those places and little thug forces, and they collect taxes from people. Man, I don't know how much I can talk about it, but they take a lot of money. They extract a lot of money, and some of that's the money we're giving the Afghans.
Yeah, I'm sure they're getting some of their money from these. But you've got to
opium too was.
But we've got to be realistic here, Bill. We're talking about a force of that is probably over 40,000. Nobody really knows.
20 to 40,
but more 40. And it's well known that they get most of their money from the Saudi, the Bahrainian, and the Emirate states. You know. They're getting they're getting most of they're getting their money from the Saudi Arabian, the Bahrainian, and the Emirate government.
I disagree with you. The Saudis kicked out bin Laden, and bin Laden was definitely funneling money into the Taliban and helping them out. But they kicked him out when they found out. Maybe the United States put pressure on him to kick him out. But there's definitely money coming through. It's not sanctioned by the Saudi government. That said, I'm not a real big fan of the Saudi, Sharia law and what they do and how they're established.
Well, it's not even that, Bill. It's old-fashioned regional power play. The Gulf states, under the leadership of Saudi Arabia, do not want Hussein and their backers, especially their backers, the Iranians, winning that war against ISIS. It's they are funding it, arming it, and supporting ISIS. And the American government and its Secret Service are well aware of this. So this is all nonsense,
Hey,
really.
another thing I just want to talk about, just completely side. You guys need to all look at General Flynn. He's one of the people I came up under in some of my training, education,
Good guy.
and I used his systems. I think he was absolutely fired by Obama. Between you and me,
He was.
I'm absolutely
He
thinking.
was, Bill.
Yeah, I think Flynn wrote all our initial doctrine that won some of our early. We were actually ahead when we got rid of Flynn. That's when shit went. Excuse my language out there. We're not recording. When things went upside down.
Right,
And also, we also changed over. Let me tell you another thing that happened. We used BAE. I worked 4 months for BAE on a special project paid for by the government. BAE is Jonathan, British Aerospace.
Yeah.
So our equivalent to BAE right now is CGI, and CGI works through the Obama administration. When CGI started doing a lot of the work, we were actually using BAE for a long time, and CGI took over for a lot of their operations. And CGI is a Canadian company with American sector that has top secret clearances. That's probably telling too much. But Michelle Obama went to school with the top two people in college. And since they came into place, man, it's been goofy.
Yeah.
And by the way, CGI are the ones who got the $60 million for that website that never worked for the healthcare program. I mean, they think it cost maybe $12 million to put together, and they got $600 million for that website.
Good deal.
And they didn't. There's no. It was the way the contract was written. They're allowed to keep it all. So there's some goofy stuff going on there. And I've been out of this, since 2012.
It hasn't changed, Bill.
Well, it's goofy. It's just goofy.
Yeah,
I think that's why the Americans are really sick and tired of these friggin' bozos in the middle. And these special interests controlled by the politicians in the middle, controlled by both sides.
So you want to move on, Bill? The next
I feel
I've got to finish by 12.
Yeah, we'll keep it going. Hey, while we have everyone on here, I need everyone's help. Jonathan, we'll talk offline. I need your help doing some stuff. This is going to be a good show. I put a lot of money into the backside of these websites.
Yeah, I got to leave at 12 though, Bill.
And everyone should thank Jonathan. The day before Thanksgiving, I think it was, you and I were online for like 6 or 8 hours doing some really high speed stuff. Because our website right now is hooked up like any Fortune 500 website for systems, isn't it?
It is, Bill. So shall we move on to the next? Can we move on, Bill?
I don't say nice things about Jonathan very often.
Yeah, you do. Thank you, Bill. Shall we move on, Bill?
Yeah. Let me pull up my computer here so I can read this. Now, I want to know before we start, here's my long-term projection. I want to write them down first and try to be succinct, come across, and then we'll open up the last 10 minutes. My long-term is staying at Hillary Clinton will not be the Democrat nominee. The FBI investigation of her private server, whether there is an indictment or not, will expose her gross violation of classified material. I mean, that's freaking gross. What she did is gross. Everyone I've ever worked with thinks that's gross. The other thing, too, is I saw on Meet the Press, some trust things and anger things and all that stuff. So my short term, man, I'm not sure what to put on short term. None of us I'm going to put these every week on the blog. These will be up there. No one forecasts what happened this week. The shooting. I mean, we didn't really talk about the shooting. One thing I heard on Meet the Press, they talked about, and I got this. Sam mentioned this last week or the week before about the domestic violence. Domestic violence is probably a good example of what happened at that abortion clinic at Planned Parenthood, in Colorado.
You've not seen anything yet. This path, you do realize next year is going to be one of the most violent year in American history. For the level of violence, political and domestic terrorism is just going to explode in this country.
It'll be interesting to see what happens, but that could be you got to keep your long terms not changing too much. So my short terms, I'm probably add to my short terms. Short terms are 2 or 3 weeks. I would think in the short term, here's what I think in the short term. I think, I don't think Trump is going to fall below 20%, but I think somebody's going to come up to pass him. I think you'll always have 18 to 20%, at least from the Republican Party right now. But I think, there will be some big movements to pass him. I think, Dr. Carson is toast. I think I'm going to put that. That'll be my short term. Dr. Carson will drop off in numbers. I think it's so hard to do the short term, but that's what I'm going to put for short term. So Dr. Carson's numbers will drop out because numbers. will drop out, and I don't drop off, and Trump's will drop, but Trump will still stay at 20%, and Trump.
Shall we just go for this, Bill? Because people.
I want to. The problem is, you guys, when you ask the questions, you babble on and you talk about all these.
I'll try and keep it as synced.
So, Jonathan, what's your? I'm going to be asking the question. What's your long term? It's got to be the same as last week. What was it last week?
What do you call? But please make it clear, Bill. What time period are we calling long term?
Long term is 6 months to a year.
Right. My long term is that political and what is domestic terrorism is going to increase dramatically in this country in the next 6 months. The reasons are quite clear. Why the economical and social reasons for that are quite clear.
Yeah, you can talk about that next show, probably a little bit. Maybe talk about it a little bit afterward. I want to do good projections and talk about it.
My short term. My short term, Trump. I totally disagree with you, Bill. Trump. I think Trump's is going to be one of the leading candidates, and he is going to push out from his 20%.
Is going to actually increase in popularity.
Yeah, he appeals to a very strong sentiment in the Republican Party. This has been coming on for a long time. A lot of members of the Republican Party have lost the plot. You see it in Northern Nevada. They're totally out of touch.
Totally disconnected. Northern Nevada.
They're totally
ahead of them here in the state.
They're totally disconnected to reality. A lot of them on state pensions, on federal pensions.
Jonathan is right. He knows his culture in Northern Nevada. It's like cowboys and rich retirees.
Touching them, so they live in this right-wing bubble. They live in this.
I got to tell you, I took Karen out to do an assessment. She's a broker, Northern Nevada, broker in Reno, Nevada. She does broker opinions and values for the big banks and people. We went out to do assessment. And I said, I'm going to go out with you because we got to this place and there's a sign that says, if you don't have a warrant, don't go past this freaking fence line. I said, Karen, we're not going to go past that fence line because they'll shoot you on property up here in Northern Nevada with a rifle. You stay at a rifle range. I mean, that happens. It's hard, especially at night. If it's at night, they can get away with it. During the day, it's a little harder.
Yeah,
you come close to it, but they shoot you.
Shall we move on, Bill? Because what's Nick's prediction?
Okay, Nick, what's your long term? It should be similar to last week. I have the old website. I just have to pull it up on a it's still there. I just can't pull it up online.
Which do you want first?
Your long term. What's your long term?
Oh, the long term is that Bernie's going to win by a landslide, and I have a feeling there's going to be some major changes in our culture. I'm really optimistic. I don't think that next year in 2016 that there's going to be martial law. I don't think any of those sort of predictions. And even I disagree with Jonathan that I don't think it's going to be the worst. I think things are going to get better long term. I think
Jonathan, you're not saying martial law, are you?
No, I didn't. But can we just get this moving,
okay,
Bill?
Short term, then we'll finish it. Short term, Nick. What's your short term next 3 weeks?
I think, again, I have to disagree with some of you. I think that Trump is about to implode. I think that people are starting to see what a buffoon he is, and that his numbers are going to go down. That's my short term prediction.
I don't. The only thing is, I think. Yeah, and then Chuck, what's your long term? Chuck.
Long term, I believe there will be a major happening in the United States late spring, early summer, which will change.
What do you mean a major happening?
I believe we will have a local, not a local, on-site happening. I believe we'll have a tragedy or two come visit us if it's not already here.
What do you mean by tragedy? We've already had a couple. I mean, anytime.
Well, okay. I mean, we haven't lost 3,000 in one fell swoop. Okay?
Oh no, not like we had 9/11.
Okay. All right. And that's all part of a plan that's been in place for quite a while, and it's going to change the future of our country for quite a while. That's my long-term prediction.
Well, there'll be a terrorist attack.
You've been watching too much InfoWar, Chuck. That's your problem.
I don't even know what InfoWar is, Jonathan. I do listen to my former colleagues who are still, hanging out in the right places. Anyway, how we handle it will be interesting.
My colleagues can't talk to me.
Well,
Still
you shouldn't have closed the door, Bill. We shouldn't have closed the door.
No,
I
they can't
made a
talk.
phone call yesterday, and I had a
MTS
response
just
within
expired.
30 seconds.
I can't.
Don't
Anyway,
what's
your short term, Chuck? I put for long term, there'll be a terrorist attack. What's your short term?
Okay. Short term, I think we will see the polls continue to stay in the same direction they are now until about February, March. I still believe that Mr. Trump is satisfying a major percentage of the American populace, along with Bernie Sanders, two people who represent and satisfy a desire, a need, a placation, whatever you want to call it, within the heartland and the basic population of the United States.
Okay. We only have 10 minutes to do these projections, so we'll go around. I'll start. I'll start. Jonathan, I'll hit you. Nick, and finish up with Chuck.
Isn't that what you just did?
No, well, we're doing a practice, actually.
I wrote them down, so we're going to record.
Right.
So, no, and the state, do not leave when we're recording. We're going to go in the recording part right now. So we're going to record for 10 minutes. This is designed for future iTunes to make a fairly good show, in iTunes, and I get it up the same day. It'll be up today. Right now, it's going to be at a temporary location. We got temporary space in our bandwidth. We don't have a dedicated site for on iTunes for this show. But when we do, we need to have everything squared away and working really well, because you get one chance to make new and noteworthy. And if you do it, if we have our artwork, we've got the web pages right. We spend a lot of money on the websites. So, okay, here we go. I have a recorder. When I go like this, it means that we got about a minute left to wrap, that we'll be wrapping up. So just get ready for wrap up when I pull this up. Okay, I'm going to come back. We need to be quiet for about 5 seconds so I can cut this in the tape. Here we go. And we'll open up at the end. I'll stay on for just open dialogue. Here we go. I'm going to do the first stuff. I'm going to come up and record in a second for the last little phase. What I'd like to do in the last phase, first of all, Nick, can you come stay up and co-host with Chuck, with just the two of you for about an hour?
Yeah, I'll be off in a little while.
And Jonathan needs to get up. Jonathan, can you come back later and
co-host? No, I'm going off to friends for dinner. Enjoy myself.
Yeah,
but I can keep going till 12 o'clock.
I'm not going to be able to stay on much longer.
Okay, we're going to do
this is my first. I can plan for next week, but I have made commitments to the boss, who hasn't even popped in yet today.
I'm going to have a new I know you fill out the form on Podcaster's Home. I'm going to have a new form on
you've got to keep that boss happy.
Meet the Voter, yeah. Also, so we want to make sure, Sam, we need everyone's help. And Jonathan, I want you and Nick to work together this week on
I will help you there, Bill.
Back and forth on Blab.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, hey, Bill, can we throw in the fact that we're going to have a nationally known activist, Dr. Bill Honigman, from PDA, Progressive Democrats of America, on next week, and he's got a big following, and he's going to be chatting about two things: single healthcare, single payer healthcare.
We'll give him 10 minutes to talk.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing: is we'll do a Meet the Press little roundup. We'll put him on in the middle part for about 10 or 15 minutes. He can stay on in projections for third part. We try to keep it between 30 and 35 minutes, the whole show recorded, but he can come on afterward and answer questions for about an hour afterwards, as long as he wants to afterward. Okay.
Yeah, he'll be in touch with you he'll be in touch with you tomorrow, Bill.
Okay. And we're getting there. And just everyone work on the quality of everything of the quality of the show. It'll get better. And everyone's traveling today. There aren't a lot of people watching. You can see we don't have the numbers we normally have. I do want to keep it going for a while and see if some people from Europe, but I think this is a holiday still and everyone's on the road.
It's interesting. As you know, our newspaper is published on Wednesday, and I go digital Wednesday night and Thursday. And we usually get several thousand page visits in that 2 or 3 day period. And I'm at 50% with the same. I mean, people just aren't. They may be shopping online, but other things, I believe, have people distracted, and that will continue through today, and maybe things will get back to normal.
The other thing, too, I'm going to send everyone out a little text bleak about how you can tweet out this during the Meet the Press, be tweeting out to people ahead of time to come on. I did that today.
When you subscribe, we can do that. The minute you subscribe, once it's up.
Come on, Bill. Let's move on, shall we? Move on, Bill.
Everybody sees it. Meet the Voter is another handle I have. This is the first time I've used it. My other handle's got 400 followers.
Move forward.
So Jonathan, hold on. I know you got to go to dinner. So you're going to come off the show altogether. Chuck, you're going to stay on a little bit. Can you stay on for 30 minutes with Nick?
I can give you another 10, 15 minutes, and then I've got to be
Jonathan will stay on. No, Jonathan will stay on with Nick. I'm going to go off. Do not leave. I'll come back on, though.
Yeah, right. Come back in 15 minutes, Bill.
So, Chuck, you're going to go off, right?
Yeah, and if I get done what needs to be done,
we've got to finish up the show. Here's what I'm going to do on the finishing the show. A couple of seconds silence. Hey, it was an interesting show for a long weekend. We'll be back next Sunday, but how can we get a hold of everybody? Remember to go to meetthevoter.com for information. We'll have that contact information for all of us up there. I will get bios up this week too. And there's anything, one last thought you want to put out, and I'll go around. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This is the end of the show. End of the record. I might record something afterward if somebody comes up. I put in Phil at the end. And Jonathan, we'll talk off. When are you going to be available tonight to talk, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'll be available in the late afternoon, Bill.
Okay, here we go. And Chuck, we'll talk during the week. I'll do an interview on timelines with you this week, Thursday, if you can. Oh, here we go. Oh, by the way, everyone, Sam's going to be up. I don't want to mention that. Sam will be up. Sam it's Brooks. His last name is Brooks? Nick,
yes,
Brooks.
Sam
Brooks. Yeah, I miss Sam. I miss Sam. I like Sam.
You said he, her.
Did I say he?
You did.
I don't think so.
You did.
Here we go. Maybe I did. At least it's not recorded, so we can't prove it. I can edit it. I can edit anything.
You're doing a Trump, are you? It's not,
it says here,
as long as it's not recorded, it doesn't exist.
Here we go. I need 5 seconds of silence. At it. Now it's recording.
Now you're recording.
Well, I want to thank the sponsors, and that's Share the Oils, Northern Nevada. We thank you for sponsoring the show. And as we finish up this last episode, we're going to go ahead and go around the group, and our panelists will tell you what they're doing now and how we can get a hold of them, and one final thought, and then I'll come back and finish up. Chuck, go ahead and tell us what you're up to this week, how we can contact you.
Well, I'm easily reached at Twitter. My name, Chuck Bartok, capital C, capital B. I'm also on Facebook with the same name. I will spend the rest of the week making sure that our newspaper in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin gets published well on Wednesday. And we do have some other websites. In fact, GenevaShoreReport.com, which is a local newspaper that is politically very active in that lovely community. I really appreciate the opportunity being here and looking forward to the future.
Thank you, Chuck. And I look forward to interviewing this week on Timelines, and you can find that at timelinesofsuccess.com. Nick, it's all yours. How do we get a hold of you?
Oh, well, I've got Laguna Nick, that's with a K, at gmail.com. And that's probably the best way. The Twitter account is at Ask Hernandez. And you can get a hold of me there on that Twitter account, even though I'm having a little problem with it today. Yeah, but I did manage to get signed in, but it's not responding. It's probably this computer.
Very good, Nick.
So it's easy enough.
And you've got a guest coming on in a couple of weeks, correct?
Well, next week.
Oh, next week. Okay.
Yeah, it's Dr. Bill Honigman. Yeah, he is a physician, and for years he's been working the emergency room in Irvine, California at the Kaiser Hospital. And he is a nationally known activist, and his real passion is single-payer healthcare. And he is amazing with the facts and the that he has and the experience that he has. You know, he's been asked to give speeches in lieu of Bernie not being able to go there to show up. He is an amazing source, and he's, obviously a really intelligent fellow and has a lot of stats about our medical crisis that we're experiencing in the States. And he has lots of followers, so we'll be sending out email blasts, both with the Orange County Democratic Party, but also PDA, which is the National Association of Progressive Democrats of America. So come on in and listen to Bill and listen to a lot of facts. Dr. Bill will be with us next week.
Well, thank you, Nick. And Jonathan.
Yeah, the main ways of getting hold of me is Twitter at Jonathan Denwood. Also email me at Jonathan at wp-tonic.com. Also do a really popular podcast with my co-host Bill, and that's WordPress, and that's called WP Tonic. If you put that into iTunes, you'll be able to listen to the show. They're the main ways of getting hold of me, Bill.
And for me, we got netcasting101.com. We're just rebuilding that page, and we already have 18 people who've signed up for netcasting101.com. And if you want to support it, it's probably won't be up until January, but we're putting out one little cell. It's a less expensive cell for $7, but you can go in there and pre-order for about under $40 for the full-blown Netcasting 101 course. And that helps support the show, allows me to go full-time working backside technologies and systems. And as Jonathan can tell you, we spent a lot of time and effort this week getting some of our systems up on a solid state environment on the servers.
You did. You got me involved.
You did too.
You got me involved as well, didn't you?
So I want to thank you. Hey, I want to thank everybody. This is a holiday. Holidays are always going to be a little slower. As we go into Christmas, we'll have some times like this. I assume in January we'll be hot and heavy. We have had up to 1,100 people following. We will stay on afterward, and I may record a few more little elements. Also, just remember to go to meetthevoter.com for show notes, contact information as we grow and evolve. I think this is going to be a great show. And remember, also, we need to go out there and hunt everybody. We need to get younger people. We got to get both sexes on here. We got to get a whole variety of people, 8 or 9 people, and we'll get formalized more and more as we go. But I do want to thank you. I know this is that new environment, that new world, that new communication system that I think politicians are actually have to embrace some of this too. So thanks, guys. Say bye. Everyone say bye and wave.
Bye.
Bye.
Wave. Nick, wave.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Hey, folks, we're back on live. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we're going to do a little educational training here. Nick is using a Dell PC, and he's got it plugged in the USB, and his mic is on the 920 camera that he's using. Nick, touch the mic so you can hear how it sounds. So when you watch, you can hear that. That's where all the sounds come out. That's why you're better than just the Dell itself. Now you have a nice mic. Let me show you how to get onto that sound. Your sound is being rerouted too. So we're going to play around for a second.
Cool.
Yeah, we have dual ham. You've got an iPhone 6S.
Yes.
And you're calling from the UAE, and you're a soldier, right?
Yes.
Very good. And we just sort of see how it works. You get a little sound off that mic because that mic has a lot of S sounds. That's why we use different mics.
Yeah.
And sometimes it picks up off the close too.
Mm-hmm.
But it really varies. It's because of the connection too. Might be a bad talk. Okay.
Just goes out.
Okay, we're up after
Well,
the
we were
show.
talking.
Wait a second till I introduce it, Nick. A couple seconds of silence.
Okay.
We are up after the show. Nick, we've determined, is on his 920 camera mic, so that's the sound you're hearing. But we're talking about meditation with Roxanne, and that's one of the practices Nick has evolved over his lifetime and used it very effectively. So, Nick, in the next few minutes, why don't you tell us about meditation?
Well, I have been meditating for, the best part of my life. Started seriously a little bit later. But I practice what's called third eye meditation. And that's because I put my attention right here at the spot between my eyebrows. And there are a bundle of nerves from 2 glands that go directly to the middle between the 2 lobes of your brain, right there, halfway back and right in the middle. One is the pineal gland and one is the pituitary gland. And the pituitary gland controls your entire endocrine gland system and makes it healthy and controls it. The pineal gland is connected with intelligence, genius, spirituality, clarity, which I consider genius. And when we, the meditators, we sit, we put our attention right here, it brings an increased blood flow, increased bioelectric energy, which stimulates those nerves, which stimulates in a positive way both of those glands. And that was confirmed to me by 2 world-famous neurosurgeons when I was in Florence, Italy, we were having dinner and I was talking about that, and they said, "Oh yeah, we know about that bundle of nerves, but we never know what it was for." So when you meditate and you stimulate those things, I know what meditation brings me, and that's clarity. And I believe genius is clarity. And since I've been a dedicated and devoted meditator, my life has just skyrocketed directly. One time I was finishing a meditation and I was just stretching, just kind of getting over the half hour of meditating, and a light bulb came on in my head, right above my head. I'll never forget this. And it was the realization that being a construction craftsman, I'm pretty good at it. And I had a friend that was a sculptor. And so I thought, well, I'm pretty good with tools. I'm going to ask this good friend who just amazed me with his art if he would teach me. And he did. And in a handful of years, I've ended up becoming a known, nationally and internationally known sculptor. I've done a couple of shows at the Guggenheim. I've won international medals in Florence, Italy, the Medici medal. I've been an art commissioner in Laguna Beach. I've got a doctorate, a PhD from Chapman University, and I have several pieces of public art on campus. And my life is immensely, I don't have words to describe the benefits that meditation have brought me. So I would recommend it because I've seen meditation do things like a friend of mine had chronic migraine headaches, a handful of meditation sessions, and they just stopped. And, I've seen things like this happen. There's a real interesting Zen Buddhist phrase: if you're real busy, meditate for an hour. But if you're really, really busy, meditate for 2. Because you become so much more efficient and so much clarity, And there's another thing that's rather mystical about this meditation, and that is that there's a promise that I've been told, and it's held up through the thousands of times I've meditated, that every time you meditate, every single time, the universe is going to bring you an unexpected present, a present that it's like you're walking down the street and you find a $100 bill. Well, you didn't do that. It seems, the universe sort of did it. And that's what happens when I meditate. And I've had these things happen so much that I am absolutely convinced. And like I'll tell you one story about my grandson. He was 7, and I asked him if he would meditate with me, because this was really an interesting turning point for me. So we sat and we had a meditation for about a half an hour. I had a tape, and they talked us through for the first 15 minutes, and then there was silence, and then they ended it. And I was living on the 3rd story of a building, and we went out to the deck, and my grandson was leaning on the rail with his hands on his chin, kind of spaced out. And I said, "So Joshua, what's different? Do you see anything? Did you get anything from the meditation?" And he put his hand out here like this and just waved it around and said, "Everything is more clear." It almost made me cry when he said that. I'll never forget that, because it's so true. He had no agenda. What he did was give me a beautiful story to tell and a beautiful explanation of what meditation is about and what it does. So how's that, Bill?
That's very good. Very good, Nick.
Very good, Nick.
I like that.
On every site.
Nick, tell me, you went around, you saw some other shows like ours, and what did you say? They're god awful?
I said, yeah, I saw there were formats, where there's 3 or 4 people chatting like we are here, but all of them were madly in love with their own voice.
Yeah.
And were talking about things that were ridiculous, and they're wasting their time and wasting blab. And, at least we're trying to talk about topics that affect all of us. And we're trying to, make a difference with our own country. And, we've got some noble effort. At least we're trying. And the things I saw were, oh my God, it was kind of like Kardashian news or something, Well,
Blab is a good platform. I think we'll keep on doing this. Yeah.
So I really 22. I'm superstitious also.
Okay, Nick, I am recording, and this is the end of the show. We got onto your panel, and you had the 920 actually was doing your sound, and now you're up on the ATR 2100. That's why it's important that as we evolve as key panelists, that we all understand the platforms and we can help other people and use Zoom. Zoom is one of my primary sources of things to use. It makes life so much easier when I can go up on Zoom and work on the backside.
How does the microphone look to you?
Oh, perfect. You can I turn it at slightly 45 up at your face because it's cardioid, if you understand it. And I'll tell you what, Nick, down the road, I want to get you another mic. These are what you loan out to the people who you interview, but
Right.
You get a Shure mic and you get a little tiny one of these. And what I've learned is, man, you get a Shure with one of these. And
What
you
is
slip
that?
it into your lap. This is a little tiny called Scarlett, but it allows you to use a different interface, and it's really good. It allows you a little bit of adjustment on sound, and it just makes your sound better. So, because we really want good sound on iTunes, the better our sound. Here's what I tell people: if you listen to crappy sound, you're never going to grow on iTunes. If you have really good content and okay sound, you're going to grow. In fact, John Lee Dumas has okay sound, and he grows really well. He's got 30,000 downloads, one of the most successful podcasters there are. But if you really want to sound good, listen to some of the radio stations with the engineers who put up their stuff on iTunes later. That's good sound. I'm going to put some example, and that's where we want to get at that level. But this is pretty good sound right now. You're fixed. See, we fixed it pretty fast, but I just need to get up on Zoom.
Is this better than the sound coming through the camera?
Oh, yeah, much better. It's a dynamic mic. And if you would get this other one little piece, and this is fine. This absolutely works for what we need to do without you having to run into Costa Mesa. We just need to work on the lighting. I would like to have got this laptop. It's up here down to you. Too bad I didn't fix it up yesterday and send it down. But I also, for you to communicate better, I want you to get that good laptop, and I don't want you to have to worry about stuff. So you can just teach people.
Do you think that you could send that down? Like you could mail it? I'll pay for it.
Yeah, let me do some work on that. And let me do some other testing today on some other platforms. But you talk a little bit. Sound great.
Okay. Yeah. If you could, Eric is working on this he's working with a company called Innovity, and they have developed a machine. They had got engineers and designed it so that they can go to places like 7-Elevens or, Circle K's, and they're putting a kiosk there.
Mm-hmm.
So that kiosk can read the density, the weight, height, and materials of packages. And then they can tell you what, like say you put a coffee cup or you put up whatever it is you want to send, and you put it on this machine, and it figures up the density, and it tells you exactly what kind of packaging you need. So then and what the cost will be, and they're going to join with Uber, so that what happens is if
delivery.
You want, yeah, exactly,
Delivery,
Uber,
baby.
they will start delivering through Uber. And it can be like hours. You can get things from one place to the other, often and often in long distances within a day or hours.
Nick, when I order something from Amazon right now in the morning, it shows up that afternoon, same day.
Right.
No cost, free shipping for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn the recording off. I just wanted to show people.
I've even gotten over road rage.
No, you really. I mean, not that you ever got super angry, but like. We've got to do this technology better.
Yes, I agree. I'm sorry. I'm trying.
And part of it is you don't have the laptop, and Eric's stuff is not that good. It's okay. We fixed it, but it's not. I looked at the site. I mean,
well, I can't use this anymore. This was a one-time thing, So
yeah, it's too bad. Susie was here. I wanted to do it yesterday.
Yep, that's okay. Look, I'll pay whatever the $50 or $100 for the shipping if you'll send it.
I think this is going to make money, and the more time I can spend on the product and the website, and here's what I'm trying to do. And I quit. I've been live streaming for the RMC. I don't know if you've seen the RMC stuff. Let me show you the RMC stuff. I did this for free. I live streamed for these guys, and I told them, no more live streaming. My whole idea is to teach people. Here's a Republican Men's Club. This is one of my early sites, but I've upgraded it. But I want you to look at this thing a second. I'm going to hit this down here. Paste this, because I'm tough on these guys too. I'm not live streaming anymore for them. Go ahead and click that. Click that little icon.
Which little icon? Where?
On the bottom. I just said I just posted it on the chat. Meet the voter. Just underneath on the chat, the very bottom of the chat.
Okay. Okay. Wait. Now get this over here. It's not coming up. See, let's see. There.
How could
there.
that be?
Oh, there.
You just
Loading,
keep it as a slow
Republican.
computer.
Yeah. It was just hidden. Okay, got it.
Okay, what I want you to do is click the reservations.
Okay, GOP Christmas party. Got it.
Okay, now go to the bottom, go pay with credit card. Just click that.
Pay with credit card.
Okay, it's coming up pretty fast, isn't it? Don't pay.
Yes.
That's our Christmas party. That's Mike Technology doing that for them. That
Wow.
stuff. But look at the bottom. Look at the bottom of that pay with credit card. Look underneath there.
50 bucks.
No, but look underneath. Look at those three little streaming videos under there.
Got it. Okay.
One's the congressman. Those are some of the things that I do. Let me get back to here myself.
Yeah,
but isn't that cool? I mean, I'm way past this technology. But here's the bottom line: is if you watch that streaming, I set that streaming up for these guys, and I said, look, bottom line is, I streamed for 2 years. I developed the stuff, and they even paid me a little bit of money. But now it's your turn to buy the equipment and learn to stream yourself. It's not that hard to do. It's really easy. And I did that. These are done with a MacBook Pro, my little camera hooked into the sound system. And those are all in the Atlantis Hotel. It costs nothing. All you need is a lap book and be able to hook into the mixer, and you can go anywhere and record stuff.
Yeah, that's where I want to get to. I want to
click the middle one, Attorney General Laxell right now, and watch it under that Republican Men's Club in the bottom.
Got it.
Just click it and watch it for a second.
I am.
Is it it's talking to you? That's the Attorney General State of Nevada, me videoing him. That's powerful. People watched it live too. It was a live stream. I want you to look at one more link. I just want to show you. You can go back and look at this later. Go ahead and shut that down. Shut the tab on the top down. Up on the top tab with a little. Shut your Republican buddies down with Christmas party on it. It's a tab up on the top of your Chrome.
The tab up at the Chrome.
Yeah, on the top of Chrome, there's tabs across the top. You've got Blab. You've got a couple open tabs on the window. These are called windows.
I don't see it. I don't see the tab.
Do me a favor. Let's go up one more time. I'm going to drop you a link because this works pretty darn well. Go ahead and click the YouTube and just stop it from talking right now.
There.
There's two little dashes on the left side. You're going to get this stuff down because you're going through the course step by step.
Okay, it's down.
Okay.
Can you see me?
You know why? Because you have the ability, you have the desire to learn this stuff.
Yeah, I want to get good at this. I think it's going to be.
It is. You got
powerful.
the right. You know what? Your attitude is right.
Well, Bill, and also, with the good fortune I've had with my art and with the school, you're right. I'm plugged in. I'm plugged into so many great connects, but I've got to be able to take advantage by learning this.
Do me a favor. Come up on that link again on Zoom, and what we're going to do is I'm going to mute us on Zoom so we're not in a straight Zoom meeting. But see, we fixed this darn thing pretty darn fast once I could get up in Zoom. It takes time. It's a slower computer.
Okay, but right here, it's your phone number, right? 243-518-813.
No,
or not phone number, but
no.
and it says the meeting is ended or ID is not valid. Please check and re-enter
Wait a second. Let me restart a meeting. I thought that should be a new meeting. It shows that I've got a meeting open. 530-796-303 should work. That's a meeting ID. You click that thing. What's it say?
Okay, wait. Going all the way down to the bottom because. Okay, this should be it. Zoom it's the bottom one.
On Zoom? I don't know.
Yes.
Let me see if you start. You're not in the meeting yet. There you go. I think you just nope. You didn't come on.
It says launch connecting.
Here, you're up now.
Yep.
So what did you do to come up? Because you came up.
Just said launch.
Yeah, just hit the launch. That's all I had to do. So you're up on it now. And go ahead and share your screen with me. There you go. It'll take a little bit of time because of the computer. And I'm going to bring this in. Go ahead and give me your mouse again. Okay, don't hit that. You're launched. Okay, I'm going to do something real fast. Give me your mouse. Thank you. Okay, do I have your mouse now?
You should. I gave it to you, but it's not moving.
Wait a second. It just might take some time.
Now you got it.
Okay. External protocol. Okay, I got to go back here. Options. Okay, there we go. I had to exit full screen. Let me exit this guy over here. Oh, did I just throw that away? No, I didn't. So I'm still on looking at yours right now. Got end meeting. So he's filling up your whole screen right now. Right. So that's right here, this button, Nick, that's maximize and optimize on a PC. That button right there. See how it makes it big?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that button.
Okay, now what I need to do is find the user's account, which should be down here. I got to find the user here. Oops, I'm wrong mic to self. So I need to go up on the two users, two of us. I'm going to mute our sound because we're still up on the other one. So I muted both our sound. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm muted on Zoom, but we're talking through Blab. So I can see everything right now. So what did I want to do? Okay. When I talk about tabs, Nick, watch my print. Watch what I'm talking about. These are called tabs. These are windows. These are tabs up here. You got a tab here.
Right. I know tabs.
That's the Zoom tab. Well, when you went down here, let's go down here again. There's Republican Men's Club. We're going to launch that. It should open a new tab. Watch. See, that's a new tab up there.
Exactly. I know that.
I said to close down the tab.
Okay.
When I said close down the tab, it means close the tab.
What I was saying was that I couldn't see a tab.
How could you not see those tabs? They're right there.
Because they weren't there. They're there now, but when I was when I was watching the video, there were no tabs.
Okay, when you're watching the video, I'm going to do this again here. We're using a lot of, okay, we went down to reservations. It's a little slower because we're using a lot of utility. And we're going to go pay with credit card. Here's what we do, Nick, with my system, my high-end. This is not my high-end system. This is my free system that I set up for people right here.
Uh-huh.
By the way, if a developer were to do this for somebody, they'd have to charge them about $1,000 to $1,500 just for the website. And then you have to charge them about $200 or $300 for just going out and, putting it together and putting it on the website. Eventually, you're going to learn how to manage these websites too, believe it or not. It's not as hard as you think. It's just getting it set up. So these are on YouTube.
Right.
So when you're playing something like this, remember,
mm-hmm.
You couldn't see the tab up here?
Yeah. Okay. Now it's on, but it's minimum. So make it go full screen.
Oh, you went full. Did you go full screen? Did you make it go full screen? Did you actually make it go full screen?
I don't think I did.
No, you couldn't have because I got it set so you can't do that. You just watch it through these portals. So you can stop it like that. But all I was saying is go up here to these tabs and close down the Republican tab, the Christmas tab.
Right. I got it.
That's what I was saying. So you understand what tabs are. These are windows.
It did go full screen, though.
What was full screen?
It went full screen, and then the tabs disappeared. That's all I was saying.
Was the picture full screen, or what was full screen?
The Attorney General was full screen.
Okay, see if you can we can redo that full screen thing. So it went to here, and we don't want to launch Zoom again. I hit the wrong button. So we want to go into, I do not want to launch Zoom. I want to go I hit the wrong link. So we went here. I'm going to hit it. Actually, I could have just gone. This guy is really neat. This is Lance Gilman. He owns the Mustang Ranch.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
I got him live. I'm going to eventually put him on a timeline. Those are all. So we're going to we'll hit Adam. So you hit that. You said it went full screen?
See, it went full screen automatically. I didn't.
Okay, let me show you what to do when it does this. Okay, it went full screen just like that, right? You see that little thing right there?
What little thing?
Let's look at this real fast. See up here how YouTube exit full screen right here?
Okay, then you can exit full screen, and then there's the tabs.
You exit full screen. That's a YouTube thing, and that's a PC YouTube thing.
Got it. I got that.
Know how to think like these guys think. And that's a PC thing.
Right.
That's because we're using a PC. It wouldn't do that on a Mac. It's a little different on a Mac. But you just sort of play, and these are the windows and tabs. But we got this working pretty well. By the way, when you hit this, that's called a tweet, and that's tweeting it out. Christmas party. I just tweeted that out. It's no big deal. People say, "What are you doing, Nick?" You can say, "I did it."
Yeah.
And this is Google Plus. Let's see where this takes us, because this is on your system. This is what we got to say. Oh, that's set up. We're not going to go there, but this is why you have to get your own computer and get your own Gmail, and we got to hook it up so you have a Google Plus account to post stuff. It gets huge SEO. And Ask Hernandez is a really great site.
Yeah.
See, here's another thing I've done too. See these events? I'll list stuff here. See all that stuff? That's my stuff.
Right.
That's good stuff. And events 2004. That's pretty. See, that's older technology. That's pretty neat stuff, though.
Right. Hey, Bill.
I've worked too.
Yeah. Hey, Bill. I haven't eaten today, and I'm getting powerful hungry.
Dude, let's one last thing. I want to close up Blab.
Okay.
And we're going to stay on Zoom for a couple seconds after I close up Blab. Okay.
Okay.
So we want to close Blab. I'm going to close Blab on yours first. Okay. Just right here.
Got it.
Close it up. So we're off of Blab. I'm going to close my Blab up too.